In this lesson, let's look at how we can add windows to our walls. So before I actually do that, I'm going to go ahead and take this entire thing and let's just go ahead and move it and kind of center it here on the origin just a little bit better. Okay, so now that we've got that drawn out, we don't necessarily need it offset like that. So now let's say we want to add some windows in here. So maybe a big picture window along this wall and then maybe a window next to the door. Now how can we actually do that? Well, let's experiment a little bit. Let's go into our top view. Alright, and go ahead and just go down into the where we want to actually add our window. So let's say this is where we want to put our window, our initial window. So let's experiment with a few of the different types of windows that we actually can use. So we'll go to the Create panel, and instead of AEC Extended, let's go up to Windows. And here we've got different types of windows. Some of these are actually able to open and close. The fixed one we'll probably use for the picture window. But let's experiment with some of the different types of windows here. So let's try sliding. So we'll go ahead and activate sliding. And so what we're going to do is we want to drag along basically initially the width of the window. So let's say we want it to be kind of right along here. And if you want to, you can snap this to the actual wall itself. But I'm going to go ahead and click and drag all the way over here. Release the mouse, and then the next drag will be the depth. So I'll drag it just till it's overlapping the wall just a bit. Go ahead and click, and the next drag will be the actual height. And you can see that in the left-hand view and also in the perspective in the front, how I can drag that height up. And then I'll click again. Let's go into the perspective. Okay, you can now drag this up to the correct position. Now initially it looks like there's no hole here cut for the window. Now some of the windows, when you actually draw them out, sometimes you'll actually get that hole cut out immediately. If it doesn't happen, you can go and link. So we've got the selected link, and we want to link the window to the wall. So we'll take the window and just click over to the wall. And there you can see it's actually cut it out. And if it's not apparent now, it will be in just a second as we select that window, go into the Modify panel. And here we've got all the parameters. So we've got the height that we can change, we've got the width, okay, we've got the depth, okay, we've got the frames, okay, so you can control all the different aspects of this particular window. We've got the thickness, we can also change the number of panels. So let's say we've got 3 panels going across. We can change the number of panels in this direction, okay, we can change the thickness of the glazing. We can also open and close this window. So I've got it hung clicked right now, so that's kind of an up and down format. If I go ahead and just move this spinner, you can see it's created a hole there. As I've linked this to the wall, it's booleaned out that where that window is. Okay, and I can open and close that window. And this is all parametric. You can come in and change any of these values. If we turn off hung, it's going to go from side to side. Of a sliding window. You can go in and change any of these attributes that you want to and open and close that. And the neat thing is you can actually take this and move it around. You can see for a second as I drag that hole is there, and it actually follows the window wherever we put it, which is kind of neat. Okay, another kind of cool thing about these windows and doors even as well is that all the different portions of these windows are assigned a different material ID. Okay, so that if I go into the material editor, okay, and let's go ahead and get a multi-sub-object material here. Okay, and what this has is all the different material IDs assigned to a different material. Okay, so what we can do is if I go in and start messing with some of these, if I choose the number 3 or number 4, let's say, and select a color, you can see what that is. Say OK to that. And it's not really showing me what I want, so let's find something else here. Oh, we have to apply this. There we go. And so this green is actually the frame here. The blue is the panes themselves, and all these things correspond across the doors and the windows as well. So, for instance, the pane will be the material for the pane across all the different windows. So if you wanted to create a kind of a transparent material here, and then go back and drop this material into number 3, and we can go ahead and copy that. you can get a nice transparent, and you know that that's going to be applied to the panes on all of your different windows, which is kind of a neat effect. Okay, so just keep in mind that you're able to drop those windows in. If it doesn't cut out the hole, make sure that you try to link that up. Okay, select and link with the walls themselves, and it should cut that out. And then you're able to change all the different parameters here in Modify to make it look how you want, and you can also open and close this if you want to as well. Okay, keep in mind that you also have the ability to come in and add materials to this, and that the material IDs allow you to add different colors or different materials to the different parts of the window. Okay, so for our purposes, I think we're going to use a couple of fixed windows. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the top view. Make sure I'm in the top view here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add a fixed window over here. So we'll go to create a fixed window. And now I'm going to go through the same procedure. Just kind of come in, drag out the width, and then the depth, and then the height. Okay, and make it something like that. And you can see that in this case, it's actually cut that out for me. So I can come in and place this, place it where I want it. Okay, change some of those parameters here. So if I want to change the depth, go ahead and make that a bit deeper so that we get you can see the rail there. Okay, if we want to make a couple of panels there, we can do that. Get something like that if we want to. Okay, and if we wanted to go in and add a material, we could do that too. You can see that that's been cut out. Let's also add a nice big picture window in here. Alright, so we'll again go to the top view. Okay, and this one's going to be right down here. So let's again add a fixed window. Let's go ahead and start by dragging across here. And I'm going to make it about 9, almost 10 feet or so. Okay. And so something like that. And then we'll drag that thickness out. Go ahead and get that back here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and drag this out. Let's make that about 9 feet 9 inches or so. And drag out the thickness. And then give it some height. And we can change all of this in our Modify. So there we've got this window. Go ahead and move this up. And let's go ahead and move it over a little bit. And then we can change in the Modify panel any of the parameters that we want. I like the width. I think maybe the height is a bit too much. And probably want to make the depth a little bit greater so we can really see that frame coming out there. Okay. And if we wanted to change the number of panels, for instance, I'm going to maintain 3 along the horizontal. Maybe we want to do 1 in the vertical. And to match that up, maybe we want to come over here and do 1 in the vertical as well. Maybe something like that, or maybe you want to dial that down even more so it's a little bit smaller. You can certainly do that. Now this is a fixed window, so we don't have the opportunity to open it, but that's not really what we want. But we can go in and make any changes that we want to the rails and panels, the glazing, the frame, any of these things. We can go in and do that, and it's actually cut out of that wall. And we can change the depth up a little bit. So we can dial that down so it's a little bit smaller. Move this out a little. So something like that. Alright, so we can see how useful that is very quickly getting windows into our walls, and it just cuts them out automatically. You may have to go through a couple of steps to get those cut out as well, if for instance, if it doesn't quite work out. So we just want to make sure that these are at the same height. Okay, so I'll maybe pull this down and take a look at the height. The height of this, it's about 6 feet 1 inch, so maybe we can make that about 6 feet. 6 feet. And let's try that again. And let's go ahead and make this one about the same, so we can have a kind of a consistent look there. Okay, and then we'll just move that up. And there they are, kind of the same height. Alright, so there we were able to add windows very quickly to our walls. The next thing that we might want to add is a door. And we can add doors just about as quickly as we've added these windows. And you have all the same options as far as customizing the look of the door, and also opening and closing the door, and also creating different types of doors as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in the next lesson.